Weil wir merken, wie der Druck groß ist auf unsere klassische, für uns gewohnte Ordnung. Ist jetzt die Frage, fallen wir in lauter Puzzlesteine auseinander und denken, jeder kann für sich alleine das Problem am allerbesten lösen? Und da kann man als deutsche Bundeskanzlerin nur sagen, da sind die Chancen für uns schlecht.
Wir brauchen Handlungsfreiheit, Unabhängigkeit in Europa, eine eigene Strategie.
We will be back. Don't have any doubt about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, making the transatlantic partnership work means reinvigorating ties among key countries in Europe and in North America. I could not be more excited today to welcome three very special guests, virtually, of course, to Munich today. Thank you so much for joining us. A very, very warm welcome. Good morning to Washington, D.C. Hallo nach Berlin. Et bonjour à Paris. Mr. President, Monsieur le Président, Frau Bundeskanzlerin, we are so excited to have you here together and have you talk about a new transatlantic agenda. And I'm sure you are aware that Boris Johnson will join this program a little later. He was still busy with wrapping up the G7 meeting in which you all participated earlier. So now, as our first speaker in this program, it is my privilege to welcome the 46th President of the United States. President Joe Biden has truly been a loyal and long-term friend of the Munich Security Conference. In 2019, Mr. President, you said in this very place, in this very hall, we will be back. Mr. President, thank you for keeping that promise. We welcome you back to the stage, and you have the
Thank you,
floor.
Mr. Ambassador. It's great to be with Angela and Emmanuel. We just spent part of from Washington perspective morning together. But I want to say hello to everyone and thanks to the Munich Conference for hosting a special session. Thanks. For decades, as you pointed out, I've participated in the Munich Security Conference.
For decades,
As a U.S. Senator, joining my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, to affirm the importance of the transatlantic partnership. To affirm the importance of the transatlantic partnership. The first 3 times as Vice President of the United States, including delivering the first international foreign policy address of the Obama-Biden administration. You pointed out,
in the first months
when I last spoke in Munich,
and 2 years ago, as you pointed out,
I was a professor.
when I last
not an
spoke in
elected
Munich,
official.
I was a private citizen.
I said at that
I
time,
was a professor,
we will
not
be
an
back.
elected official.
and I'm a
But I
man of
said
my
at
word.
that time,
America
we will
is
be
back. I
back.
speak today as
I'm a
President
man
of the
of my
United
word.
States.
America is
start of
back.
my
I speak
administration,
today as President of the United States.
Clear message to the
At
world.
the very start of my
America
administration,
is
and I'm
back.
sending a clear message to the world.
Transatlantic Alliance
America
is back.
is back.
We are not looking back.
Transatlantic Alliance
We are
is
looking
back.
forward together.
And we are not
Comes
looking
down
back.
to this.
We are looking
Transatlantic
forward
Alliance
together.
is a strong
Comes
foundation.
down to this.
The strong foundation.
Transatlantic
on which our
Alliance
collective
is a
security
strong
and our
foundation.
shared
The
prosperity
strong
are built.
foundation on which our collective
Partnership
security
between
and our
Europe and the
shared
United States,
prosperity are
in
built.
my view, is and must
Partnership
remain
between Europe and the
the
United
cornerstone
States,
of
in
all
my
we
view,
hope to
is and
accomplish
must
in the
remain
21st century,
cornerstone
just as we
of all
did
we hope
in
to
the 20th
accomplish
century.
in the 21st century.
The challenges we
Just
face
as
today
we
are
did
different.
in the
We're
20th
at an
century.
inflection point. When
The
I spoke to
challenges
you
we
as a
face
senator
today are
and
different.
as even as
We're at
vice
an inflection
president,
point.
the
When I
global
spoke to you as a
dynamics have
senator,
shifted.
and as even as vice
New
president,
crises demand
the
our
global
attention.
dynamics have
We
shifted.
cannot focus only on
New
the
crises
competition
demand
among
our
countries
attention.
that threaten
We
to
cannot
divide the world,
focus
and
only
only on
on
the
the
global
competition
challenges
among
that threaten to
countries
sink us
that threaten
all
to divide
together
the
if we
world,
fail
and
to
only on
cooperate.
global challenges that
We
threaten
must
to
do
sink
both
us
all together
working
if
in
we fail to
lockstep with our
cooperate.
allies and
We
partners.
must do both.
So let me
Working in lockstep
erase
with our
any
allies and
lingering
partners.
doubt. The
So let
United
me,
States will work
erase
closely
any
with our
lingering
European
doubt.
Union partners
The United States
capitals
will
across
work
the
closely
continent,
with our European
Rome
Union
to Riga,
partners
to
and the
meet
capitals
the
across the continent.
range of shared
From
challenges
Rome to
we
Riga,
face.
to meet
We
the
continue to
range
support
of shared
The
challenges
goal of
we
a
face.
Europe whole
We
and
continue
free
to
and at
support
peace.
the goal of
The
a
United
Europe
States
whole
is fully
and
committed
free
to our
and at
NATO
peace.
alliance.
The United
And I
States is
welcome
fully
Europe's
committed
growing investment in
NATO
the military
alliance.
capabilities
and I welcome
enable our
Europe's
shared
growing
defense.
investment in the military capabilities
You know,
that enable
to
our
me and to the
shared
United
defense.
States, to us, we'll
You
keep
know,
we'll
to
keep
me,
faith
to
with
the United
Article
States,
5.
and us,
It's a
we'll
guarantee.
keep Article.
An
we'll
attack
keep
on
faith with
one
Article 5.
It's an attack on
It's
all.
a guarantee.
That is
An
our
attack on one
unshakable
It's an
vow.
attack on all.
And the only
That
time
is
Article
our
5 has been invoked
unshakable vow.
was after the United
And
States
the only
was
time
attacked
Article 5 has
on
been invoked
9/11.
was after
You,
the
our
United
allies,
States was
joined
attacked
us
on
to fight
9/11.
Al-Qaeda. And the
You,
United
our
States
allies,
committed to
joined us
consulting
to
closely
fight Al-Qaeda.
with our NATO
And the
allies
United
and partners
States
on the way
committed to
forward in
consulting
Afghanistan.
closely with our NATO
My
allies and
administration
partners on the way forward
strongly
in
supports the
Afghanistan.
diplomatic
My
process that's
administration
underway
strongly
to bring an
supports
end
the
to this
diplomatic
war that is
process
closing
that's
out
underway
20
to bring
years.
an end to this war.
We remain
that is
committed to
closing
ensuring that
out
Afghanistan never
20
again
years.
provides a base
We remain
terrorist
committed to
attacks
ensuring
against
that
the United States
Afghanistan
and our
never again
partners and our
provides a
interests.
base for
Our
terrorist
European
attacks against
partners
the
have
United
also
States
stood
and our
with us to
partners and
counter
our
ISIS.
interests. Our
Just
European
this week,
partners have also stood
NATO
with us
defense
to counter
ministers
ISIS.
endorsed significant expanded
Just this week,
training and
NATO
advisory
defense
mission
ministers
in Iraq,
endorsed significant
which will
expanded
be vital
training
to the
and
ongoing
advisory
fight
mission
against
in
ISIS.
Iraq.
We
which will
cannot
be
allow
vital
ISIS
to
to
the ongoing
reopen
fight against ISIS.
and regroup
and
threaten
cannot allow ISIS
people
to
in the Middle
reopen
East, in Europe, in the
and
United States,
regroup
and elsewhere.
and threaten.
And while the
people in
United
Middle
States
East
is
and Europe and
undergoing
the United
a
States
thorough
and elsewhere.
review of our own force
And while
posture
the United States
around
is
the world,
undergoing a
I've
thorough
ordered the
review of our
halting
own
and
force
withdrawal of
posture
American
around
troops
the world,
from Germany,
I've ordered the
also
halting and
lifting the
withdrawal
cap
of American troops
imposed by
from
the
Germany.
previous administration and the
I'm
number of
also
U.S.
lifting
forces
the cap
able to be
imposed
based
by
in
the
Germany.
previous administration and the number of
I
U.S.
know-
forces.
I know
able
the
to be
past few
based in
years have
Germany.
strained and tested
I
our
know,
transatlantic
I
relationship.
know the past few years have
But the
strained
United
and
States
tested
is
our
determined
transatlantic relationship.
determined to
But the
re-engage with
United
Europe,
States is
to
determined,
consult with you,
determined
to earn
to
back our
re-engage with
position
Europe.
of trusted
To
leadership.
consult with you,
Earlier
to
today,
earn
as
back
was
our
referenced,
position of trusted
I
leadership.
participated in the first meeting
Earlier today,
of the
as was
G7
referenced,
leaders.
I
I spoke about
participated
the
in the
dire
first
need
meeting
to
of the
coordinate
G7 leaders.
multilateral
I
action
spoke
to
about the
address
dire need to
COVID-19,
coordinate
the global economic crisis,
multilateral action
and
to
the
address
accelerating climate
COVID-19,
crisis.
the global
so much
economic
else.
crisis, and the
Achieving
accelerating
these
climate
goals
crisis,
is going to
and
depend
so
on
much else.
core strategic
Achieving
propositions.
these goals is going to
And that is
depend
the
on
United
a
States
core
must
strategic
renew America's
proposition.
enduring
And that is the
advantages
United States must
so that we can
renew
meet
America's
today's challenges
enduring
from a position of
advantages
strength.
so that we can meet
That means
today's
building back
challenges from
better
a
our
position
economic
of
foundation,
strength. That
reclaiming
means
our
building
place
back
in
better
international
our economic
institutions,
foundations,
lifting up our
reclaiming
values
our
at home,
place in international
and speaking out to
institutions,
defend them around
lifting
the
up our
world.
values at home,
Modernizing
speaking
our
out to
military
defend them
capabilities
around
while
the world.
leading with diplomacy.
modernizing our military capabilities
Revitalizing
while
America's network of
leading with
alliances and
diplomacy.
partnerships that have made
revitalizing
the world
America's
safer
network of
for all
alliances and
people.
partnerships that have made the world
I hope
safer for
our
all
fellow
people.
democracies are going to join us in this
You
vital
know, I
work.
hope our fellow
partnerships
democracies are going to
have
join us in
endured
this
and
vital
grown
work.
through the years.
Our
Because they are
partnerships
rooted in the
have
richness
endured and
of
grown
our
through the
shared
years
democratic
because they are
values.
rooted in the richness
They're
of
not
our shared
transactional.
democratic
They're
values.
not extractive.
They're not
They're built
transactional.
on a vision of a
They're not
future where
extractive.
every voice matters.
They're built on a
Where the rights
vision
of
of a
all are
future where
protected.
every voice
and the
matters,
rule of law is upheld.
where the rights of all are protected,
None of this
and the
has
rule of
fully
law is
succeeded
upheld.
in this. None of us has
None
fully
of this
succeeded in this division.
Has fully succeeded
continue
in
to
this.
work
None,
towards
none of us is fully
And
succeeding
in
in this
so many
division.
places,
We continue
including
to
in
work
Europe and
toward
the
it.
United States,
And in
democratic
so many
progress is
places,
under
including
assault.
in Europe and the United States,
I've known
democratic
for,
progress
I know
is
many
under
of you for a
assault.
long, long time.
I've
And you
known
know
for,
that I speak
I've known
my
many
mind.
of you for a long,
So let
long
me
time.
Very straightforward with
And
you.
you know that I speak my
We are in
mind.
the midst of a
So let me
fundamental
be very
debate
straightforward with you all.
about the future and
We are in the
direction of
midst
our
of a
world.
fundamental debate
We're at an inflection
about the
point.
future and direction
Between
of our
those who
world.
argue
We're at
that
an
given
inflection
all the
point.
challenges we face,
Between those who
from the
argue
fourth industrial
that
revolution,
given all the challenges we
global
face,
pandemic,
from the fourth industrial revolution to
is
the
the best
global
way forward,
pandemic,
they argue.
that
And those who
autocracy
understand that
is the
democracy
best
is
way forward,
essential.
they argue. And those who
Essential to
understand
meeting
that
these challenges.
democracy is essential,
Historians are going to examine
essential
and
to
write
meeting
about
these
this moment.
challenges. Historians are
inflection
going to
point, as I
examine and write about this
And I
moment
believe that every
as
ounce
an
of my
inflection
being,
point, as I said.
that democracy
And
will
I
and
believe that
must
every
prevail.
ounce of my being,
We must
that
demonstrate
democracy
that
will
democracy
and
can
must
still
prevail.
deliver for our people.
we
in this
must
changed world.
demonstrate that democracy can still deliver
That,
for our
in
people.
my view, is our
in this changed
galvanizing
world.
mission. Democracy
That,
doesn't
in
happen
my
by
view, is
accident.
our galvanizing
We
mission.
have to defend it,
Democracy
fight
doesn't
for
happen
it,
by accident.
strengthen it,
We
renew
have
it.
to defend it.
We have
Fight
to
for it.
prove
Strengthen it.
that our model
Renew
isn't
it.
a relic of history.
We have to prove
It's the single
that our
best
model
way
isn't a
to
relic of
revitalize
history.
the promise of our future.
it's the single best
If we work
way to
together
revitalize the
with our
promise of
democratic
our
partners,
future.
with strength
And
and
if we work
confidence,
together with
I
our
know we'll
democratic
meet every
partners,
challenge and outpace
strength and
every
confidence,
challenger.
I know we'll meet every
You know, we must
challenge and
prepare
outpace
together
every
For
challenger.
long-term strategic
You know, we
competition
must
with
prepare
China.
together for long-term
United
strategic
States,
competition
Europe,
with
and Asia
China.
Work together to secure the peace.
How the United
and
States,
defend
Europe,
our
and
shared
Asia
values.
work together to
Advance our
secure the
prosperity
peace
across the
and
Pacific.
defend our shared
will be
values
among the most
and advance our
consequential efforts
prosperity
we
across the
undertake.
Pacific will be among the most
Competition with China
consequential
is going to be
efforts we
stiff.
undertake.
That's what I expect.
Competition with China is going to be
And
stiff.
that's what I welcome.
That's
Because
what I
I
expect.
believe in the global system,
And that's what I
Europe
welcome.
and the United States together.
Because I believe in the
allies
global system,
in the
Europe and
Indo-Pacific
the United
worked so
States
hard to
together
build over
with
the
our
last 70
allies
years.
in the Indo-Pacific worked so
We can
hard to
own
build over
the
the
race
last 70
for the
years.
future. But
We
to do
can
so, we
own
have to be
the
clear-eyed
race for the
about the
future.
historic investments and
To
partnerships
do
that
so,
this
we have to be
requires.
clear-eyed
We
about
have
the
to
historic
protect.
investments and
We have
partnerships
to
that this
protect for
requires.
space, for innovation,
We have to
for
protect.
intellectual property,
We have to
and the
protect for
creative
space,
genius
for innovation,
that
for
thrives
intellectual
with the free
property,
exchange of ideas
the
in
creative
open democratic
genius
societies.
that thrives with the free
have to
exchange of
ensure
ideas in open
The benefits
democratic
of growth are
societies.
shared broadly and
We have to
equitably,
ensure
not just
that the
by a
benefits
few.
of growth are shared broadly
We have
and
to push
equitably.
back against the Chinese
just
government's
by a
economic
few.
abuses and coercion
We have to push
that
back
undercut
against the Chinese
the
government's
foundations
economic
of the
abuses
international
and
economic
coercion
system.
that undercut the
Everyone,
foundations of the
everyone must
international
play by the
economic
same
system.
rules.
Everyone.
U.S. and European
Everyone must
companies
play by the same
are
rules.
required to publicly
US and
disclose
European
corporate governance
companies
structure
are
to
required to
corporate governance structures
publicly
and
disclose
abide by
corporate
rules to
governance
deter
structure to
corruption and
corporate governance
monopolistic
structures,
practices.
and abide
Chinese
by
companies
rules to
should be held
deter
to the same
corruption and
standard.
monopolistic practices.
We must shape the rules
Chinese
that will
companies
govern
should be held to the same
the
standard.
advance of technology
We
and
must
the
shape
norms
the
of
rules that
behavior
will
in
govern
cyberspace,
the advance
artificial
of technology and the norms of behavior in cyberspace,
so that they are
artificial
used to
intelligence,
lift people up,
biotechnology,
not used to pin
so
them
that they are
down.
used to lift people up,
We must stand up
not
for the
used to
democratic
pin them
values
down.
and make it possible for us
We
to
must stand
accomplish
up
any
for
of
the
this.
democratic values,
Pushing back
and
against
make it
those who
possible
would
for us to accomplish any of
monopolize
this.
and normalize.
Pushing back against those
repression.
who would monopolize
This
and
is
normalize
also
repression.
this is also how we're going to be able to meet
This is also
the threat from Russia.
this is also how
Kremlin
we're going to be
attacks
able
our
to meet.
democracies and
the threat
weaponizes
from Russia.
corruption to try to undermine
Kremlin
our
attacks
system
our
of governance.
democracies and weaponizes
Russian
corruption to
leaders
try
want
to
people to think
undermine
that our
our
system is
system of governance.
more corrupt.
Russian
or
leaders
as
want
corrupt
people to
as
think that our
theirs.
system is
But the
more
world
corrupt
knows,
or
that
as
isn't true.
corrupt as theirs.
including Russia's
But the
own
world
Russia's own
knows
citizens.
That isn't true.
Putin seeks
Including Russia's
to
own
weaken
citizens.
the European project
Putin
and our
seeks
NATO alliance.
to weaken
He
European,
wants to undermine the
European
transatlantic
project
unity
and our
and
NATO
our
alliance.
resolve.
He
Because
wants
it's
to
so much
undermine the
easier for the
transatlantic
Kremlin
unity and our
to bully and
resolve.
threaten individual
Because
states
it's so much
than it
easier
is
for
to
the Kremlin
negotiate with a
to
strong
bully
and
and
closely
threaten
united
individual states
transatlantic
than it is
community.
to negotiate with a strong and
That's
closely
why
united.
That's why standing up for the
community.
sovereignty and territorial
That's why-
integrity of Ukraine
That's why standing up for the
remains a vital
sovereignty
concern
and
for Europe
territorial
and the United
integrity of
States.
Ukraine
That's
remains
why
a vital concern for
addressing
Europe and the United
recklessness,
States.
Russian recklessness, and
That's
hacking
why
into computer networks
Addressing recklessness,
in the United States
Russian
and across
recklessness,
Europe
and
and the
hacking
world
into computer
has
networks
become critical to
in the
protecting
United
our
States
collective
and across
security.
Europe and the world has become
The
critical to
challenges
protecting
with
our
Russia
collective security.
may be different than the ones with China.
The challenges
They're
with
just
Russia
as real.
may be different than the
It's
ones
not
with
about
China,
pitting East against
but they're
West.
just as real.
It's not about
It's not
we want
about
a
pitting
conflict.
East against West.
We want a future where all
It's
nations
not
are
about
able
we want a
to
conflict.
freely determine their
We
own
want a
path
future where all nations
without
are
a a threat of violence or coercion, freely determine their own path. We cannot and
without
must
a
not
threat of
return
violence or
to
coercion.
reflective opposition.
We cannot
rigid
must
blocks
not
of the Cold
return
War. to the reflective opposition.
Competition must not
and
lock
rigid
out
blocks of the Cold War.
cooperation on issues that affect us all.
Competition must not lock
For
out
example,
cooperation on issues
We must
that affect us all.
cooperate if we're going to defeat
For
COVID-19
example,
everywhere.
We must
My
cooperate
first
if we're going to
presidential
defeat
national security
COVID-19
memorandum
everywhere.
focused on
My
surging
first
health and
presidential national
humanitarian
security
responses to
memorandum
defeat
focused on
COVID-19
surging health and
and to better
humanitarian
prevent
responses
and
to
prepare
defeat
for the next
COVID-19.
pandemic.
To
Today,
better prevent
I'm
and prepare
announcing
for
that
the
the
next
United
pandemic.
States is making
Today,
a $2 billion
I'm
pledge
announcing
to
that the United
COVAX
States is
with the
making a
promise of an
$2
initial
billion
$2 billion
pledge to COVAX,
to urge others to
with the
step up
promise
as
of an
well.
initial $2 billion.
And even as we fight to get out of
urge
the
others
teeth
to
of this
step up
pandemic,
as well.
the
And
resurgence
even
of
as we
Ebola
fight
in
to get
Africa
out of the teeth of this
is a
pandemic,
stark reminder
the
we
resurgence of
must
Ebola in Africa
simultaneously work
is a
to
stark
finally
reminder. We
finance health
must
security,
simultaneously work
strengthen global
to
health systems,
finally
and
finance
create
health
early
security,
warning
strengthen
systems to
global
prevent,
health systems,
detect, and respond
and create early
future
warning
biological threats
systems
because
to
they
prevent,
will keep
detect, and
coming.
respond to
We have to
future
work together
biological threats
to
because they
strengthen
will
and reform
keep
the
coming.
World Health Organization.
We have to work together.
We need
to
a
strengthen
UN
and
system
reform the World
focused
Health
on
Organization.
biological threats that
We
can move
need a
quickly.
UN system
trigger
focused
action.
on biological threats that
Similarly,
can move quickly to
We can
trigger
no
action.
longer delay or do the
Similarly,
bare minimum to
We
address
can no
climate change.
longer delay
This
or
is
do
a
the bare
global
minimum to address
existential
climate change.
crisis.
This is
We'll
a
all
global
suffer. We'll all
existential
suffer
crisis.
the consequences if we
We'll
fail.
all suffer. We'll all
We have to
suffer.
rapidly accelerate our
consequences if we
commitments to
fail.
aggressively curb our emissions
We have to rapidly
to hold one
accelerate
another
our
accountable
commitments to aggressively
for
curb
meeting
our
our
emissions
goals
and
and
to hold one
increasing
another
our
accountable
ambitions.
for meeting our goals.
That's why, as
and
president, I
increasing
immediately
our
rejoined the
ambitions.
Paris Agreement.
That's why,
And as of today, the
president, I
United States
immediately
is
joined the
officially
Paris
once
Agreement.
again a party
And as
the
of
Paris
today, the
Agreement,
United
which we
States
helped
is
put together.
officially once again a party
On Earth Day,
to the Paris Agreement.
I will
which we
host
helped
a
put
leaders
together.
summit to help
On Earth
drive
Day,
a more ambitious
I will
actions
host a leaders
among the
summit
top emitters,
to help
including
drive a more ambitious
domestic
actions
climate action here in the
among the
United
top
States.
emitters, including
I am
domestic
grateful.
climate action here
I'm
in the
grateful
United
for
States.
Europe's continued leadership on climate issues
I am grateful.
over the last 4
I'm
years.
grateful for Europe's continued
Together,
leadership on climate
We need
issues
to invest
over
in
the
the
last 4
technological
years.
innovations that are going to
Together,
power our
We
clean
need to
energy
invest in the
futures,
technological
enable us to
innovations that
build
are
a
going
clean
to power
energy
our
solution
clean energy
to
futures,
global markets.
enable us to build a clean
The
energy
threat of nuclear
solution
proliferation
to global markets.
also continues to require
The threat of
careful
nuclear proliferation
diplomacy and
also
cooperation among
continues
us.
to require
We
careful
need transparency and
diplomacy
communication to
and
minimize
cooperation
the
among
risk
us.
of strategic
We need
misunderstanding or
transparency
mistakes.
and communication to minimize
That's
the
why
risk
the
of
United
strategic
States and Russia,
misunderstanding or mistakes.
notwithstanding other competition,
That's why the
extended
United
the New
States
START
and
Treaty
Russia,
for an
notwithstanding
additional
other
4 years
competition,
once I came.
extended the
I
New
was sworn
START
in.
Treaty. For an
That's why
additional
we
4
said we're
years
prepared
once
to
I came.
re-engage in
I was sworn
negotiations
in.
with the P5
That's why we
plus
said we're
one
prepared to
on
re-engage
Iran's
in
nuclear
negotiations
program.
with the P5+1.
We must also address
on Iran's
Iran's
nuclear
stabilizing
program.
activities across the Middle East.
We must also
We're going to
address
work in
Iran's
close cooperation with our
destabilizing
European
activities across the Middle
and
East.
other partners as we
We're
proceed.
going to work in close cooperation with
We'll
our
also work
European
together
and other
to
partners
lock
as we
down
proceed.
fissile and radiological material
We'll
to
also
prevent
work together
terrorist groups
to
from
lock down
acquiring and using
fissile
them.
and radiological material to prevent terrorist groups
The
from
range of
acquiring and
challenges
using.
Europe and the United States must take on
Look,
together.
The range
broad and
of
complex.
challenges Europe and the United States must take
I'm
on
eager to
together
hear. I'm eager to
is
hear.
broad and complex.
Eager to hear next
I'm
from
eager
my
to hear.
good
I'm
friends
eager to hear.
and outstanding leaders.
I'm eager to hear
Chancellor
next
Merkel
from my
about her
good
thoughts
friends
and
and
the way
outstanding
forward
leaders.
together.
Chancellor
let me
Merkel
conclude
about her
with this.
thoughts on the way
We
forward together.
cannot allow self-doubt to
conclude
hinder
with
our
this.
ability to engage each other.
We cannot
or
allow
larger
self-doubt to
world.
hinder our ability to engage
The last
each
4
other
years
or
have been
the
hard,
larger world.
but Europe and the
The
United
last 4
States
years
have to lead with
have been hard.
confidence once more.
But Europe and the United
With faith
States
in our
have to lead
capacities,
with confidence once
commitment to our own
more.
renewal,
With faith in our capacity,
trust in one another,
a commitment to our
and the
own
ability
renewal,
of Europe and the United States to
with
meet
trust in
any
one another,
challenge to
and the
secure
ability
our
of Europe and
futures
the United
together.
States to meet any
I
challenge
know we can do
to
this.
secure our futures together.
Before,
I know
just
we can do
yesterday,
this. We've
after
done
a
it before.
7-month,
Just
300
yesterday,
million mile journey,
after a 7-month,
NASA
300
successfully landed
million-mile
the
journey,
Perseverance rover on Mars.
NASA successfully landed
It's on a mission of
Perseverance
exploration
rover on Mars,
with elements contributed by
on a mission
our
of
European
exploration.
partners
with
to
elements
seek
contributed
evidence of
by,
the
contributed
possibility
by
of
our
life
European
beyond our
partners,
planet
to
and the
seek
mysteries of the
evidence of the
universe.
possibility that life beyond
Over
our
the next
planet
few years,
and the mysteries of the
Perseus
universe.
is being called, but perseverance
Over the next few years,
will range and collect
Perseus is being
samples
called, but
from the red
perseverance
planets.
We'll
pile
range
them
and
up.
collect samples.
So
from the red
another
planet
mission and
pile
rover,
them up.
envisioned as a
So
joint effort
another
between NASA
mission
and the European
and rover,
Space Agency,
envisioned as a joint
will
effort between
retrieve
NASA
this
and the
trove
European
of
Space
scientific
Agency,
wonders, bring it home.
will retrieve this trove of scientific wonders.
That's what we can do
bring
together.
it home to all of us.
If our unbound
That's what we
capacity
can do
to
together.
carry us to Mars and back,
If our
don't
unbound
tell us
capacity
anything else.
to
They
carry
tell
us
us
to
we
Mars
can
and
meet
back,
any
don't
challenge.
tell us anything else.
we
They
can
tell
face
us
on Earth.
we can meet any
We have
challenge
everything we need.
we can face on Earth.
And I want you to know the United
We have
States
everything we need.
will do our part.
And I want you to know
We'll
the
stand
United
with you.
States
We'll
will
fight
we'll
for
do
our shared
part.
values.
We'll stand
We'll
with
meet
you.
the challenges.
We'll
of this
fight
new
for our
moment in
shared
history.
values. We'll meet the
America's
challenges of this new moment in
So
history.
let's get together and
America's
demonstrate to our
So let's
great
get together
grandchildren when they read
and
about us
demonstrate
that
to our
democracy
great grandchildren
Democracy.
when they read about us.
democracy functions and
democracy.
works together.
Democracy.
There's nothing
Democracy
we can't
functions
do.
and works and together.
So let's get working.
There's nothing
Thank you all very
we can't
much.
do. So let's get working. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, folks.
Grant the Texas governor's
Thank you
request for a
so
major
much, Mr.
disaster
President,
declaration.
for this.
Yes, I had a chance to speak
Really
with the
important
governor
statement.
again last night,
Thank you
and
for,
I
for
asked
sending
him
it
whether he was about to
and let me add
ask
that
for another
I look forward to a time,
effort
pandemic
because
permitting,
the
that we can try
circumstance
to
that
invite you
Texas
to
finds
fly
itself in,
into Munich
whether
again
he was going to seek
to
additional
an
assistance.
in-person
And
conference. I know
and
you
we
used
talked,
to like these
I
meetings
talked with
very
the
much,
Federal
so
Emergency
I look
Management
forward to the
Agency,
future.
FEMA,
And I also
administrator.
want you
This
and,
afternoon, I'm going to ask him to
your
accelerate our
administration to
response
know
and
that
request
we
for,
will,
quote,
again,
different declaration,
conditions
a major
permitting,
disaster
try to
declaration
continue this
so that we can
discussion
get everything
later
done
this
that we need that's possible to get done with federal government help. FEMA is already there and providing support, generators, diesel fuel, water, blankets, and other supplies. But I've directed Health and Human Services, HHS, Housing and Urban Development, U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Department of Defense, to identify other resources that can provide and address the growing needs of the folks in Texas. And as a little bit along the lines I was just talking about, when any state, as I said when I ran, I'm going to be a president for all America. All red, there's no red or blue. It's all about commitment to the American people make to one another. And so we're going to sign that declaration once it's in front of me, and God willing, it will bring a lot of relief to a lot of Texans. And so thank you all so very much.
Do you have any plans to visit Texas, Mr. President?
Say again?
Do you have any plans to visit Texas?
It depends. The answer is yes. Question is, I had planned on being in Texas the middle of next week, but what I don't want to be is a burden. When the president lands in any city in America, it creates, it has a long tail, and they're working like the devil to take care of their folks. If in fact it's concluded that I can do it without creating a burden for the folks on the ground while they're dealing with this crisis, I plan on going. But we'll know that, we'll make that decision probably the beginning of next week. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.